Chapter 8 is Conquest's first defeat boss map, in which we must suppress the Ice Tribe by defeating the sorcerer Kilma. He introduces us to the power of dark mages, wielding the life-stealing Nosferatu tome, and the mini-boss Flora attempts to delay our progress towards Kilma with a thematic freeze staff. And as a side goal, if we visit 3 of this map's 5 villages, we'll get a huge 10,000 gold. The village by the starting area is free, but the next most convenient villages are the 2 in the west, which will require pushing multiple units through Flora's freeze range. And I desperately need this gold, because I just spent the last of mine on the heart seal for Corrin, who I want in Wyvern Rider right away. The extra movement and flight will be important for the early game, and though it doesn't make his combat super impressive now, Corrin's eventual promotion to Malignite will make for a huge glow-up. He does need several more level ups before then, but he'll be able to grow well while fighting alongside his new boyfriend, and one day reach some truly dark heights.
Careful out there!
My first boss killer of Conquest is going to be Silas. He can one-round Kilma with weapon triangle advantage, and with 7 movement, he can cross 28 tiles over 4 turns. He actually needs to cross 30 tiles to get an attack range of Kilma, but by utilizing the Switch Separate tech twice, he can get 2 extra tiles and still reach by turn 4.
The darkness whispers.
Turn 2 introduces some very special units, with Leo's retainers Odin and Niles joining in the south. As the weak but accurate Dark Mage, Odin won't be a boss killer, but his accurate magical 1-2 range and Heartseeker makes him a great team player for reliably defeating some early game enemy formations. Also, he can provide our male Corrin Dark Mage access with just an A support, which I'll want to unlock as soon as possible. And then, the Outlaw Niles will bring key utility throughout the entire run, boosting our movement and capturing several important generic enemies. Odin proves to be useful right away, leading most everyone in the west, but I send Silas to the north so he can defeat a Dark Mage for a level up. He doesn't need it, but now he can defeat Kilma without a strength or speed tonic. Then, to avoid nearby enemies from getting in his way, I have Elise use the Dragon Vein, leaving all our units stuck in water and out of enemy range. Well, everyone except for Odin, who I've left in 2 range of the southern Dark Mages. This means I'm able to leave Corrin adjacent to fight an attack stance without being an attack target, and Flora is incentivized to waste her freeze on Odin. Odin's not great at one-rounding, but that's actually a good thing. To reach a C support this chapter, Odin and Corrin need to get 3 support points. You get half a point from a round of paired combats, plus an extra 1/6 of a point if a dual strike is used. So they need at least 4, and at most 6, rounds of combat together. And we can accomplish this across only a few enemies by having Odin fight once on enemy phase, then he and his partner can finish the kills with a second attack the next player phase. Going into turn 3, we can start handling Flora. Enemies prefer to attack over using staves, so by rushing Felicia forward, I not only ensure she can visit the westernmost village next turn, but also that no one will get frozen again. I've left Effie in range of Flora's attack range too, but thankfully Flora will still target Felicia to deal more damage, debuffing herself in the process.
Felicia. Flora?
The way Felicia says, "Flora," is so funny to me. Flora puts her sister in lethal range, but this is good, as it distracts one of the nearby fighters. The other then attacks Odin to deal the most damage. He happens to dodge, but because Odin was in Felicia's Demoiselle range turn 2, he would live even if he got hit by everything. This time, Silas's group can't avoid getting attacked, but because of the terrain, the enemies can't actually block his path to Kilma. And they don't both attack Silas, so it's fine. At this point, Odin and Corrin have already finished their support for this chapter, but they might as well keep fighting together to get more experience. Odin doesn't need this dual strike XP, but with it, I can say Odin got a full level up at LTC pace on his join map.
2, much power!
Next, Effie clears the way for Niles to defeat Flora while using Corrin's Dual Strike. Now he doesn't even have to risk a 3% crit from her counterattack. Before wrapping up the map, Elise can visit the southwestern village, and Felicia can just barely reach to visit the westernmost village. Now for the boss kill. Silas can one round with a fighter pair-up, but not if Kilma heals with Nosferatu. The trick to work around this is just to have Silas wait, so he can land both strikes after Kilma's already initiated combats. I just barely could afford both skill and luck tonics for him, so Silas reaches 89 listed hits, resulting in a 93% chance of success. And that's Chapter 8 completed in 4 turns, with an expected turn count around 4.1. In Chapter 9, we're upgraded to Conquest's first Seas map. Here we must defeat the Spearfighter Haitaka and claim his throne, and Haitaka is much tougher than Kilma. While our army wraps through the fort's hallways to reach Haitaka's room, Azura makes her reappearance in the east, where she is given a perilous mission to open a chest. This map also introduces Conquest's other Dark Mage, Nyx, though it's really where Niles gets to show off for the first time, with his bow combat and dark kidnapping tendencies getting to shine.
How very annoying.
Once again, I'm having Silas accomplish our victory condition. This time, he needs to use 31 points of movement to get on the throne, but he can still accomplish this in 4 turns by making use of Switch Separate and Niles' movement pair-up bonus. The main challenge, then, will be keeping a clear path for Silas, while also getting several units in range to defeat Haitaka turn 4. We also need to open the northern chest, which contains a rare rescue staff. Azura can help us reach it, but she's going to have to die a few times to get to where she needs to be. Turn 2, we recruit Nyx. In contrast to Odin, she has great combat but terrible reliability and bulk. As you should know by now, I find any hit rates below 100% unsatisfactory, and even with Phoenix mode, you do have to survive enemies to counterattack them. As such, Nyx's contributions will be limited to some offhanded combat and heart-secure utility, as well as being someone Corrin can pair into this map to breach the fort turn 2. With the first wall broken, Silas can keep moving forward, while dropping Niles in a very convenient position. Now Niles is in range of every archer, but not the eastern spearfighters, and Silas is blocking the western samurai from reaching Niles. It's important that Niles kills the archers now, before they can move to block the entrance to Haitaka's room. If Azura moved north this turn, then her samurai would also move north to attack her. This would block her path to the rescue chest, so Azura should stay in place for now. It's best if Silas gets hit twice here, which happens 89% of the time. But even if he doesn't, then it just means something later will be a little less reliable. Not only did Silas help Niles get this far forward, but his attack stance is also key to getting the archer kills. The plus 10 hit boost puts Niles at just about 100 hits, and his dual strike lets Niles one round even the archers that received Haitaka's rally defense. I had to give Niles a full set of tonics to reach the offensive and defensive thresholds with near perfect reliability, but after receiving last chapter's 10,000 gold, tonics are hardly a troubling expense anymore.
That was good for me.
With the archers gone, the last enemies to consider are a few spear fighters. I can't kill them all, but I can set it up so they won't block my path next turn. Because Silas and Niles split up, I can have Silas ferry Odin to the north while blocking off a couple spots, and then Niles is still free to use his action to capture the unpaired spear fighter. Spearfighter's level 10 skill, Swap, will be very important for the movement of several future chapters, and if I capture a couple now, I can get their training over with while we're still in the early game. Niles can't make use of dual strikes when using the capture commands, but with a fighter pair-up he can still one round, while using the bronze bow for perfect hits. If left alone, the other unpaired Spearfighter would block my path. To prevent this, I have Elise use Freeze, with Nyx's magic pair-up helping her reach a respectable 94 hits. Now there's just the pair of Spearfighters left, but they're going to attack either Odin or Silas from their east, so they won't be in the way next turn. Azura can keep running towards the rescue chest now, but sadly, she can't outrun death. Silas also dies here, but if he dodged one of the samurai attacks earlier, the Spearfighter wouldn't see lethal and would target Odin instead. And if that happened, Odin wouldn't have enough HP left to survive a counterattack from Hitaka. On the last turn, the Elise and Nyx duo can just barely reach to break the northern wall, utilizing Elise's high movement and Nyx's 2 range. Finally, Azura can complete her mission and trade over her chest key before refreshing Nyx, who can then open the rescue chest. I won't be using it for a while, but one day each rescue use will basically allow for 1 turn to be saved. Now for Hitaka. Odin moves first to apply Heartseeker, which doesn't help against the throne's 30 avoid boost, but it's better than nothing. Felicia can then pair into Corrin to reach Hitaka, getting 100 hit thanks to Corrin's personal skill. She may die to the counterattack, but her damage and dagger debuffs still apply. Lastly, Niles goes for the capture. Even without Odin's damage, he could still kill with the iron bow, but because Odin did get the opportunity to attack, Niles can afford to keep the bronze bow to reach 100 hits. Now there's nothing in the way for Silas to seize. And that's chapter 9 completed in 4 turns. I've calculated the odds of success to be around 92%, which makes for an expected turn count of 4.1. And for one last comment, I didn't have a great chance to talk about all my gold expenditures this part, but I am budgeting for this run very closely, and if you're interested, I'll link my gold tracking spreadsheet in videos going forward. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.